Dan Wiederer, part of our family here at ESPN 1000 on the Kap J Morning Show on ESPN 1000 and the ESPN Chicago app. Dan, I think this is the best time to talk about this because once we get into training camp, this probably won't be a talking point. But I think you and I should discuss this about what you do and what others do as far as being a beat reporter covering this team. It is very difficult for you to cover the team in Deerfield when the practice is in Lake Forest. And I will say this, that for me growing up as a Bears fan, all of the columnists that would be able to go through and have personality profiles, talking to individual players, learning about the players, it seems to me now in 2021, not just with the Bears, but across the board, public relations either they don't trust athletes or they don't want athletes to speak their mind on exactly what's going on in their personal life or what's going on with the team. Why is there a disconnect between your coverage and what you can actually be able to talk about? Because to me, if you're way away from the practice, I can't understand as a reader exactly what's going on with the team.
Well, there's a lot of layered conversation to this topic, and one of them is that teams themselves have become competition for the media that covers them, right? They have their own websites that they're trying to fill with content. They're trying to fill their websites with content that they believe is exclusive to them. Now, obviously, those things can work hand in hand. I see in organizations all across professional sports and college sports where you can have your own in-house content and it can be really, really good, and the media that covers you is still allowed to do really, really good content. That doesn't exist here in Chicago on a regular basis with the Bears, and it's worrisome league-wide the way that these sort of past ways of doing things are being obliterated in terms of, being able to see a practice from closer than 200 yards away, right? Why are we way down on the south end of the field with a fully vaccinated media corps wearing masks outside, right? What's the danger of getting us a little bit closer to watch their practice? What's the danger of being able to have in-person interviews to get to know the players and coaches you cover? Hoodie, so much of a beat and covering a beat is made from being able to talk to a guy on background, off the record. Hey, what really went wrong on that play? Let me be able to explain this to my audience in a way where you don't have to call out a coach or a teammate or someone else that did something wrong on that play, but I can, do it from an educated standpoint and be able to explain to the audience what's really happening here. All of that is being decimated here, and what's troublesome to me is that the league seems to be using the restrictions that were necessary during the pandemic to further push us away from the coverage that the audience deserves, right? And that we've been used to giving for many, many years. And it's worrisome because, look, you guys are going to ask me every time I come on from now until Justin's career is over, how does Justin Fields look? If I can't see Justin Fields without a pair of binoculars and, a high-powered telescope, then we're all in trouble, right?
Right.
And the rationale and the explanations for doing those things are very rarely given. And I think this is something that collectively we're going to have to push back on a little bit. We're going to have to shine a light on. We're going to have to let our audiences know why it's a problem that the media gets pushed further and further away because you won't have the insight you used to have. There's 10 to 15 key players on this Bears team that I've never met in person because they've arrived since the pandemic started. How am I ever going to have a relationship with Justin Fields if I get one question every 4 weeks with them over Zoom, right? Right. It's impossible. And so this is a scary territory for reporters, but I think it should also be a scary territory for fans because, listen, the Chicago Tribune could go to a Bears game and post-game with 4 people there at a game could go talk to 12 to 15 players after a game. Now we get the same 3 players that every single other outlet gets. There's no chance to develop, a little detail, a nugget, a relationship that others don't have. And ultimately it trickles down into how you as a fan absorb the coverage, and it's detrimental.
All I know is that TeamX.com only tells some of the story, but you want to have other outlets to tell more of a story. That way you're more educated on the team. It's one thing to say, well, I'm tired of all these opinions on sports radio about the team. That's not true. Well, give us people that are on the inside that can tell us what's true because, look, I'm a blowhard and I'm a fan, but you're a journalist. And so the mixture of the two helps me and it helps fans understand the team. And so that's my whole thing. It didn't used to be that way. And I just think I'd rather have the full story than just me just speculating on everything because I know we're in the hot take era, but I still believe in journalism as well in that regard.
As you should, as we all should, because when journalism goes away, it creates a lot of people shouting uneducated, uninformed opinion into the air, and then all of a sudden it just becomes a shouting match of uneducated, uninformed thoughts that don't allow any conversation to advance anywhere. And so you want the information. You want to be able to understand things. I've always told every coach that I've ever covered, the first time I meet them, I say, look, this is a classroom for me. I come on this beat to learn about your team, to learn about what goes on, why it goes on, how it goes on, and be able to relay that to my audience. I will always be fair to you, but I come in telling you from day one that this is my classroom, and all I'm here to do is learn about this team and the inner workings of it. Hopefully you will help me do my job in that regard. And for the most part, I've had strong response throughout my career in doing that. It's allowed me to help educate our audiences, right? And that's the ultimate goal of all of this, is to be able to relay information to people so that they feel better informed on the team they're watching. They like to celebrate the successes. They obviously want to know why failures occur. And the last few years here in Chicago have been filled with failures. And hopefully we've been able to explain some of them to you. And hopefully we'll be able to explain some successes in the future too. And hopefully when training camp starts, we'll be closer than Deerfield, maybe, in Lincolnshire to watch the first week of Justin Fields training camp practices.